Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. This is part 2 of Tino Franco on the Viall Files podcast. I'm going to share some highlighted moments. We just had part 1 we shared where Tino mentioned that the cheating haunted him daily, and he also mentioned some of the other aspects of what went down that led to that moment, takes full responsibility. So far, the comments on the actual podcast are fairly good for Tino's sake. People are saying, he's taking complete ownership over what he did. He's kind of had, several weeks to really let the dust settle. And, therapy seems to be working. I think it's a good reminder that we can all use a little therapy in our life. All right, so we're going to get into it. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals for stand-up show updates. Plus, I'm posting a ton of wedding content. But the real wedding content is on patreon.com, which I will be posting. Actually, by the time you watch this, it'll be live because it's premiering at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. You can watch the full unedited wedding ceremony, including this moment here. Should I do a full recap of my kiss? I was a little strong with the left hand. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have gone. We didn't really plan how we were going to do the kiss. I was just like, let's just go into it. So there it is, folks. Oh boy, that's right. Big round of applause for me there. We did it. Okay, so let's get into this heavier story. We go to the 44:20 mark here and listen to several clips, and we're going to end with Tino mentioning how he thinks he could have done this safe house visit differently and why he went into the safe house visit thinking they were actually going to fix things.
There was just a lot of stress on the relationship, and I was worried I was coming off really needy because I was like I've said, like I was super insecure. Like seeing everything back was a million times harder than I could have ever imagined, and it just like me putting added pressure. Like I saw myself doing it at the time. Like I at least was that self-reflective to be like, okay, maybe I need to give her space. Like that's the hardest thing ever for me to do because I'm more of like a let's tackle our issues thing. But like that really can be like such an amazing thing for a relationship to like have that confidence to take it back a step and just be like, she's going to find her way home. Like just let her find it herself. And she did. I mean, I just messed up and was
burn
being
the house down.
Being a piece of shit.
It was like
you got the producers here saying, "Oh yeah, you let her come home, but you burnt the house down." All right, well, truth is said in jest, but that's kind of oh boy.
To defuse the bomb. It's like you ever seen the movie What About?
Okay, so we talk about defusing the bomb, and now we've got Tino explaining why he told her. I think that's the question people want to know. Is like, why did he tell her? If okay.
So,
Such a great analogy.
Just to wrap up,
It wasn't my best, but anyways.
Why I told her, like I got the text that day, like she said, like randomly, like love you, and we at that point weren't texting that much. We talked on the phone a ton, but like when I saw that, I was just like, oh my god, like I need to tell her. And that phone call that night was like 3 hours, and I mean, like me and Rachel had this like amazing talent to talk about nothing for hours, but at the tail end of that, it started to come up because like other contestants were having like issues with like ex-girlfriends and stuff. And it felt like, okay, like
Nate.
Like Nate, yeah. I didn't know he had issues. I don't have a TikTok.
No, but was it the...
All right, so very interesting, though, that Tino says he was basically watching exes get exposed, and he felt the guilt that led him to kind of fess up himself. Now, here's where he says... When he told Rachel that he actually didn't quite tell her up front.
Second of her time. But
what'd you tell her?
So at first I said like, oh, like I kind of led this girl on the other night, and then she was like, well, what do you mean how? And then like we were kind of like
kind of weak at first.
No, it was so weak. Like trust me, I'm like not standing by that at all. Yeah. That was so lame. And honestly,
I would be like, if someone was like, so I led someone on last night, I'd be like, what the fuck does that mean?
Well, okay. But in like our defense, like stuff in our work, like I was getting roasted, I think at one point for like watching like somebody's story on Instagram that I didn't know, and I was like, I don't know, like I get like these followers, and when I see the little red, the little red circle, I click them occasionally.
So of course Tino's referencing when he was exposed online for liking and following different influencers and Instagram accounts, which again, I mean, like at some point it's like, welcome to being famous, bro. You're famous in the Bachelor world. You were going to be analyzed for who you follow. Doesn't make it right, but there it is.
And like
did you talk the next day, or did you no?
So now we're at the point where he told her, and she said, "All right, let me just take some time to just figure this out." And then the safe house visit comes along, which of course the safe house visit is these private meetings that they have while the show is still not spoiled. And of course, some of the bigger safe house visits, we know if a camera show up to the safe house visit, things aren't going to go well. Looking at you, Ari and Becca, when of course Ari dumped Becca for Lauren. That was at a safe house visit.
Communication.
I sent a text every day, like just trying to be like not overbearing, not like, oh my God, like please, oh my God. Like I was just like, look, I know I messed up. Like I'm here to talk whenever you need, but take as much time as you need. Like I just am all about this and I'm so sorry. And so eventually like it was like, okay, let's try to work this out in person. And when I heard that, my eyes lit up because I was like, okay, like we're going to work this out. And then like, obviously like everyone kind of filled me in like there were going to be cameras there. And
so now we're wondering, all right, did Rachel want to work it out in person, or did the producers get involved and say, hey, to salvage your story, we're going to have to do this on camera, which is like fine too. In the end, he cheated, right? He cheated. So regardless of how this goes down, these are actions caused by him.
First, that was a little like, okay, like I'm a little bit freaking out, but like, you know,
yeah, what was going through your head?
You know, like we met, like so I was like, okay, like, you know, I don't know like who wanted them there, but like there was just the reality of it. And I was like,
so she got off the phone with you and called the producer, I'm guessing, maybe. I mean,
probably not. I mean, like I'm sure she like reached out to her people as like she had every right to do.
Yeah, she probably.
And I don't know who
I'm
that
sure
was involved.
She reached out to them. It would make sense that she reached out to people from the show to let them know what you did.
I totally I can't mind read her.
Yeah.
Like
I'm just guessing
I can't
out loud.
project anything.
If I were in her
want
shoes,
to.
I would have been like, I would have told somebody. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said again, like I made the mistake.
Yeah.
Like however, you know, we move forward from there. Like I when I told the truth, I knew I was like to some degree like losing negotiation power of like how it was handled.
Did you speak with her at all, whether on the phone or FaceTime or in person, before you saw her when you walked into that house with cameras?
A couple texts. Yeah.
But not on the phone.
But I mean, neither here nor there. Like the general consensus of when we were going into that house meetup was we're not giving up on this. We're coming in to work on it.
So that was your mind frame.
So the mind frame, yeah, like you said, was that they were going in there to work on it. And of course, that's exactly the opposite of what happened. But there could have been a tiny bit of hope that Rachel had. Like, all right, maybe he's going to say something that changes my mind. But of course, that's not what happened.
Nick was like fine with it.
Why did you bring a journal?
So I was flustered for sure, and I wanted it to work out. I did.
The journal.
Be as articulate as I could and not be like stumbling over my words, which I did anyways. But
so the accusation was that he had the journal to call her out, to say, hey, look, but you said this, but you said that, which, you know, I mean, I'm sure he was highly defensive. But of course, you know, in hindsight now, he knows all. Regardless, I was in the wrong. Regardless of how he and Rachel handled their story, which, by the way, I'm sure Rachel could have handled things very differently. I'm sure, and none of this gets mentioned here, and in credit to Tino for not mentioning it, but I'm sure Rachel was heavily anxious and heavily disturbed from the edit she was getting in real time. So I'm sure they both brought so many so much stress to their relationship from what went down on screen.
I mean, like, it's so funny that like people are like, oh, you keep a list of like mean things about your fiance. And I'm like, there are so many nice things written in there about her. Like, I mean, you could really like follow the path of like the relationship's trajectory. And my therapist was just saying like, journal your thoughts so you don't think about them all day. So I could like focus at work. So when it was really hard and like, you know, we were having tough conversations, like I was just writing those down so I wouldn't think about them all day and be like, oh wait, but like, did she mean this? Or, you know, like, did I mean this? Or all that. Like, I was just like, get them out of your head and onto paper. So yeah, I mean, and that's another thing what if, like, I'm like, well, like now that I'm watching it back, that clearly like created contentious, like a contentious environment. And that's certainly not what I was going for. But like, I mean, yeah, like if I knew it was going to go over like that, I should not have brought that. Like I was just trying to articulate like my thoughts and what I was going through the best I could because I was just really frazzled. I mean, some would say I looked sweaty and on drugs.
So the internet did suggest that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Drugs are
who were you
bad.
talking to on the
And
phone?
now so he goes, drugs are bad. And everyone's kind of like, well, were you? Like, were you on drugs?
Were you on drugs?
Were you on drugs?
Laughing.
No, I
which
wasn't on
ones?
drugs. I don't even think I had a
Yeah.
drink for like
Which ones?
weeks,
And
or not weeks, days.
All right,
Obviously.
wasn't on drugs. Hadn't had a drink for days. Okay. I mean, look, that's a lot of people were just like, man, he's coming off so unhinged. Well, it's important to realize when you're like anxious attachment or avoid whatever, when you're in despair, when you feel like your life is dependent on this working out, you do panic like that. You could possibly be uncontrollably sweaty and anxious and unable, and like your limbic system is fried. I wish that on nobody.
Like the way Rachel treated me and shined like on our journey was like so amazing, and she was so good to me, and it was so not right how it ended and what I did that I wanted to like say publicly, like, look, I really appreciate like everything. Like this is certainly not how I wanted it to end. Like I wanted to be with her forever, but like the time we spent together like means so much. It still does. Like even after AFR, like I can still appreciate like her setting the bar really high on how a woman can treat somebody in a relationship. So
did you have any frustration with Rachel about AFR, or was that more your frustration with the show?
Oh, I was way more frustrated at the show. Like
All right, so then he gets into why he was so frustrated at the show, and just the idea that this show, as if it wasn't dramatic enough to have this cheating scandal, the show then makes it worse by, I don't know, not giving them the time or space to figure things out. Let's go to 59:30 here and just see if we've missed anything from the back end.
wouldn't go there like or do something like that. I mean, like the whole day before, I like locked myself in the bathroom of the trailer that they put me up in so I wouldn't have to do B-roll or anything like that.
B-roll, of course, is when they film them like tentatively looking out a window and walking down the beach. So he says he locked himself. He did not want to play along. And boy, geez, that's just like just about everyone who is on the show just has these sort of feelings where they're like totally done with it, but contractually still a part of it. All right, let's wrap things up. Let's go to the hour 27-minute mark. And he is asked by Nick. I think Nick does a good job on the podcast. I think people were worried that Nick was going to like completely bash Rachel here and side with Tino. I don't see that happening at all. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Here's the question. Are you still in love with her?
Oh, it's a loaded one. I mean, seeing an ex after 4 weeks when it was a pretty crushing breakup, like understandably would be hard on anybody.
Are you still in love with Rachel?
Oh, it's a loaded one. I really, really loved Rachel through the whole process. And like, I still think about her every day. It's just like after everything that has transpired. And I think the best way to put it is I've moved on. I think we were just so not like I actually really didn't think you'd ask that, but I think like in the environment of the show, we really, really fell extremely in love, and it was something beautiful that I haven't experienced like that unique style of love, because this is the most unique situation ever. But I think real life plays like a huge role in that, and I think there is somebody who's just more compatible for her out there, and that like guts me even 2 months after the breakup. But yeah, I mean, there's like if she ever needed something and needed to call me, like I'd always answer.
All right, so he doesn't say whether or not he's still in love with her, but clearly the feelings are there. And look, Tino, they're going to go away slowly, and you're going to return back to your life, and you'll be a better person for it. You just keep working on yourself. That's all you can do. Last clip.
Is there a world where we could see you at Paradise in the future, or have you sworn off Bachelor Nation?
I mean, like I don't. I mean, we all saw how sweaty I was. So
all right, so he says, we all saw how sweaty he was. So he doesn't say no. So will he do Bachelor in Paradise? My guess is, like, go for it. I mean, your edit, you can't get more of a villain. I mean, hold my mimosa. We'll have to see about that. But chances are you can't be a worse of a villain. So going on Bachelor in Paradise, maybe you can show a little bit of a redemption arc. Let me know what you guys think. Follow me on Instagram at @DNeals, and I'm on Patreon at patreon.com/DaveNeal. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit. One more video coming your way. Bye, guys.